What's up, guys? This is Jeff here. Today is Monday, January the 13th, 2025. Welcome back to my video to review over today's performance for the account. Well, as most of you know, today is actually a tough day. Even though we ended up with Dow and SPY 500 turned into gray zone, right? But if you look at the whole day performance for the three major indexes, most of the time they were actually going lower in the red zone, lower than previous trading session, and with time going by during the day, the indexes went up gradually. So we eventually have Dow and SPY 500 turning into green, and of course the one kind of combining all of the tech companies, Nasdaq is still lower than the previous trading session. It's roughly a 0.4% down, basically showing the full case of the day, which is under the current monetary policy, under the current pressure of the yield. If you guys know what I'm talking about, the recent yield is actually going crazy all the way up as a result of the tighter than expected monetary policy. So being under the pressure of the yield going up, Nasdaq is the one actually receiving a tremendous amount of selling off pressure. And even worse than Nasdaq, Russell is the combination of the smaller size, the middle size of the tech company is under even bigger pressure recently. So if you are holding some tech companies stocks right now in your account, very likely you are experiencing a loss. But again, the basic logic behind it is, if we are already talking about worst scenario of increase the time of the rate cuts in future in 2025, right? Are we gonna stay at 2 times throughout the whole year? Are we gonna kind of loosen it a little up, move it to 3 times? Or are we actually moving down, as some of the investors are talking about? We may not have even one single rate cuts during 2025. What eventually is gonna happen, I think, is highly depending on what type of the economy policies Trump and his administration will launch, right, during the weekend. Today, of course, is the Monday, but a lot of news took place, in the past weekend. During the past weekend, you guys actually, if you follow all of the politicians or political policies or what Trump said, there were a number of things that he was saying was kind of scary, right? Not only jeopardizing the expectations of having more times of rate cuts, but also overall politically, what he was talking about was actually potentially going to jeopardize the relationships between America and some other countries, even including our allies. So, what is gonna be looking like? What's the new trends we are going to embrace? It's really, really important for the time being. So from that sense, I personally do not encourage anybody as investors investing your money into the stock markets to make a lot of move, right? I don't think you should make a kind of pre-decision prior to Trump's inauguration. I think we just need to hold ourselves tight and wait for the upcoming new policies. Are they actually even worse than what the market expected? Or are they actually better than the market expected? It's gonna be a key questions to be answered. So from that sense, if we go back to the index performance for the day, it's kind of understandable, right? Following very, very high numbers from last Friday's non-farm report, and also affected by some even tighter policies on the chip/semiconductor industry, right? There will be even tighter policies launched to manage the import, export, international trade of semiconductors, especially between US and some other, let's say, competitor countries, right? So impacted by that policy, actually you can see, the whole tech area, the whole tech industries, including the chip and the semiconductor industries, today they had, of course, very obvious pressure, and their stock price went down clearly, right? Talking about the leader of the industry, you can see NVIDIA, it's basically 2% down. And if you look at the intraday for NVIDIA, for the most of the part, it's actually even lower than 3%, right? With the index went up a little bit at the end of the trading session, it was close to 2%. But for the most of the day, NVIDIA as the number one valuation company in terms of the size, in terms of the amount, in terms of the valuation, it was nearly more than 3% down, and that definitely gave pressure to Nasdaq and the entire chip semiconductor industry. So this is basically what is going on for today's market. Do we have any opportunities to bounce back in near future? Yes, we do. But again, this week is a kind of inflation week, and inflation is getting back to the number one hottest topic for Federal Reserve. So in the following days, you will see PPIs and CPIs and core CPIs, those very important inflation data, and based on how the data will be rolled out, right? Is the data better than expectations? Is the data worse than expectations? What's the trend of the current inflation going on? The market could be able to have some bounce back, but it will be highly dependent on the data itself. Other than that, wait for January the 20th, wait for a new bunch of economy policies, and then from there we can actually adjust our investment strategy accordingly, right? So let's look at my account. My account is roughly 1% lower than previous day. Right now we have around 147,400. Well, again, not a winning day today again, but I guess it's okay given the fact that we are holding some of the cheap semiconductor stocks at hand, plus the airline companies, right? The airline companies at last Friday, they all went up very sharp, significantly, right? Basically following Delta's earning for the fourth quarter last year. So for today, the entire airline industry went down a little bit, because for most of the companies like American Airlines, like United Airlines, they were actually at the end of last Friday, they were actually definitely at the top, the highest point, in the past 6, 7, 9 months. So when you have that situation, when you already have that price went up so significantly, naturally people started to realize the profit, by selling those stocks. So not only the stocks, not only the tech stocks or cheap semiconductor stocks hurting the value of this account, as well as the American Airlines, which is the second largest holdings in my account, also gave me a tough day. But overall, it's around 1% down, roughly 1%. And compared to the index's performance today, I think I'm okay. Again, talking about cash versus stock ratio in my account, I think stock percentage is a little high, it's a little higher than my original plan, but I did take the advantage, when it's close to the end of the day, I did take some advantage of going down for some of the stock prices and bought a couple. So let's review that trading activity together. So I selected today, right? January the 13th as the time range. You can see I bought 2 stocks here. The first one is Carnival. Talk about Carnival many times. I only have a little bit shares, which is as the result of consideration of a bunch of things at the end of the year. Sold out those high profit existing holdings for Carnival and started to buy a little. And today I just add a little bit more to my existing share of Carnival Cruise Lines, right? I only bought 50 shares and give us a little more, let's say, amount of cruise line companies in order to welcome its earnings sessions in this month. We already know Delta, as the airlines, they gave us a very clear trend in terms of people's willingness to go out. Cruise line as a traditional like vacation choice or relaxation choices for American people. When airline companies gives us a clear trend for the willingness of going out and traveling, cruise lines is also expected to give us a very strong financial performance in their earnings season. As said, I wouldn't be minding buying more, if the price goes down to 22 to 23 area. But given the fact that the price of carnivals has been going down in several days in a row, right? If we look at the trend here, it's been off its highest point, which is 27th word, down to below 24. So it's roughly 15% coming back. So, I just bought a little as kind of the additional shares I can add into my existing holdings, welcoming basically the new earnings seasons. If you do not have, Carnival as the choice of your cruise line stock, you can also consider Norwegian. You can also consider Royal Caribbean. It's just because I already have some of that, then I can buy a little more and average down overall cost, right? Another stock that I purchased is actually LOVE, which is a furniture making company. I also talked about that company for a few times. I also shared a story that I wanted to buy more. I think last Thursday or Friday, but the trade itself wasn't successful, right? It didn't really hit the low price point that I put into the trading, so that trade wasn't going through. So today, again, I'm trying to take the advantage of the price going a little lower for this company, and bought it when it goes low. Again, so there's a number of historical stories that I can share for this company, but overall, this company always give us a kind of very very straightforward trend during the two earning sessions, right? It basically doesn't change so much if it goes up during the at the beginning of the earning season. It always end up with higher price, right before the next earning season. Or if the price started to go down at the beginning of one earning season, then for the following 3 months, it basically goes down continuously. No clear bounce back or major bounce back would take place during that 3 times time frame. So, trying to buy a little more stocks when it's low, and also when it's technical part. If you look at the curve, the K lines of LOVE, it shows you a kind of bouncing up journey just right at the beginning. So I just want to have more shares put on this individual stock, and hopefully it can continue to go up in the next, hopefully next 3 months, right? So this is our a couple of trading activities I had from today's trading session. I just want to call out one thing. If I don't know, you guys can actually see the time. Oh, we do. You can see the time that I purchased the stocks, right? It's roughly 2:30 Eastern time, which is only like another 90 minutes, 1.5 hours left for the rest of the trading session. One thing or one technique that people can actually apply here is, if you really want to buy something, and often enough the lowest point that you can see during the trading day, right? It's often enough happens to be like closer to the end of the trading session. The stock price would have more tendency to fluctuate back and forth, up and down, a lot more significant during the morning session, and then gets to stabilize or even goes a little lower closing to the end of the day, because some of the money, especially some of the institutes' money, want to actually go out to the sideline and watch more for the next trading day's performance. So I also intentionally followed that trend and bought the stocks basically close to the end of the day. All right, basically this is pretty much what we have for the day. Again, we have a red day, which means that we are losing somewhat value of the account, but I guess it's still okay. Very close to our starting points given the recent tough performance from the major indexes. I think it's still manageable. I really hope you guys like this video, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please do, and then you will receive the notifications for any newly uploaded videos from YouTube. Thanks guys, I will see you guys tomorrow.